Well, finally we're at a spread that I really, really like. And this is kind of what separates this book from Welcome Chum. It takes poems and illustrated poems into a kind of the next level. First, there's still the sequences on either corner. The sequence, there's a sequence for the adventure story here, and it continues here. But everything between is related to a single idea, and all the poems are related. Well, except the one that's at the top that's written, printed halfway. And this is the main poem, and this came from a sketchbook. The idea for this poem came from a sketchbook. I drew a little head of an ape, and his eyes, I found his eyes kind of mesmerizing. Them eyes mesmerize, do not stare into this pair, or they will have you thinking you're a bear, or a bitten pear sitting on a square. So that's the origin of the poem, which I developed then into this. These them eyes mesmerize, do not stare into them pair, or they'll have you think that you are a mink floating in a bathroom sink, or maybe a baby bear eating a forbidden pear and sitting on a pink square somewhere. The interesting about this is typical illustrated poetry book have a poem and an illustration, and then they move on to another poem and another illustration. Let's have an example of that from, again, this is a great book I love, but this is not criticizing the book. This is just an example of what typically happens. Poem, illustration, poem, illustration. The way I've worked quite often in these is a single poem then is developed farther through illustrations and additional poems that are inspired by it. Well, we're out of time. I'll have to do this next episode, because this is worth, I think, talking about, because this is one of the, I think, contribution to illustrated poetry books.